I'm about to do the most terrifying thing I can possibly think of to do, and that's a childhood fear of mine, which is reading out loud in front of an audience. I have not read out loud since I was embarrassed doing it in elementary school, but that fear stops today. And if I can face my fears and do this, you can as well. Let me give you a glimpse into my story. It might help explain a few things. Imagine growing up in the epicenter of the tech revolution, where Apple computers were demoed in living rooms and our future was being built in the garage. That was my childhood. It was just the beginning of a journey that would teach me the true meaning of authenticity and success. Now, I was born and raised in Redwood City. Both my parents were teachers. I'm the son of two dedicated educators who spent over 35 years shaping young minds. My dad, he wasn't just a middle school teacher. He was a pioneer who transformed from an art teacher into a computer graphics innovator, eventually creating the first middle school computer program ever in the early 90s and late 80s. Our living room, it was a time capsule of tech history. You see, my parents' friend Steve Akers was one of Apple's first outside sales reps, and he was a family friend. And he would showcase the massive Apple II computers with their iconic green screens. Little did I know that that early exposure would shape my future perspective on innovation and entrepreneurialism. I can still remember that koala pad right there and doing drawing. I was always a kid that was between two worlds, straddling the line between sports teams and the computer lab. I never fully belonged to either. From racing dirt bikes at the age of 5 to coding with my computer buddies, I just refused to be boxed into anyone else's expectations. But I would have to say my first passion, yeah, it was going to be dirt bikes way before they were cool. Funny story is I can remember dressing up in all of my dirt biking gear for Halloween. And, you go to school dressed up and everyone's like, "What are you, an astronaut?" And I'm like, "No, I'm a dirt biker." Nobody knew what that was in the early 80s. So school is complicated. And life, well, it has its curveballs. See, an undiagnosed learning disability shaped my entire early education, and I found it extremely difficult to comprehend why I couldn't learn as fast or read as fast as everyone else. I was given an ultimatum by my first grade teacher that I needed to finish a certain workbook or I wouldn't be allowed to go to second grade. I broke down and started crying and I pleaded and I tried to explain that I'm trying to complete the workbook. I just can't do it as fast as everyone else. And I wanted all my answers to be perfect. What was my solution after given this ultimatum? After crying myself to sleep that night and just stressing out that I might be held back and I would be disappointing my parents, I found a solution. I would get someone else to do it for me. And I still remember that many of the answers were wrong, but they were done. And I was going on to second grade, and an entrepreneur was born. Despite being small, I did make it to Division I college, and I found myself playing Division I football. Was I passionate about playing football? Maybe. I mean, I enjoyed the game. It was fun defying the odds of being undersized. I just didn't want to listen to anybody that ever told me, "You're too small, you're too slow." I just always wanted to find a way. But was I passionate? Or was I just playing because I thought I should do that? Or was I just trying to prove everyone else wrong? Well, I'd never actually get to find out because my career, it was cut short. I was diagnosed with nerve damage in my neck and shoulders, and that was just from being an undersized player. I can still remember that day after my second opinion and then my third from different doctors, holding my playbook outside the film study building, sitting there crying. I was 21 years old. I'd been playing the game for 10 years, and in a matter of a few hours, doctors had determined I was no longer going to be able to play. I still remember turning in my playbook to the defensive head coach who fucking loved me, and the look he gave me. It wasn't disappointment, it was empathy and shock. And I was his fearless warrior who would no longer be able to step on the battlefield. I turned my playbook in as starting free safety, and between sniffles and sobs, with tears running down my face, I said, "They say I can't play anymore." And I turned and walked out before anyone could say anything to me. 2 years later, I saw my backup playing on Monday Night Football for the Denver Broncos. Oh. My relationship with money, well, that's a whole nother story. It's going to have to be in a future chapter. From wakeboarding schools to real estate to network marketing, multi-level marketing, I've built businesses up and watched them fall. In this series, I'm going to be going over the lessons that I learned and the mistakes and victories that I've made over the last 25 years. My entrepreneurial journey has been nothing but linear. And each venture, whether it soared or it crashed, it taught me an invaluable lesson about business, authenticity, and personal growth. So I hope you stick around for each chapter of this story, because I guarantee you're going to learn something that you're going to be able to apply to your own life and your own business. Because I want to teach you how to live life tenaciously and always be learning.